Hello and welcome back. For those of you who are just joining me or are new to my channel, my name is Janina Marie, and this year I turned 29, and I vowed to stop saying no, to embrace my dreams fully and completely for a year and a day. I vowed to say yes, to allow myself to chase those dreams no matter the consequences. So welcome to my year of yes. This week I did battle with an old friend named Expectations and her ally, Fear. Maybe you've heard of them? You see, me and Expectations have been friends for as long as I can remember. There has always been a right way to do something. And to do something right, you need the proper tools. And tools, as you know, cost money. Money that I am terrified to spend because I've been taught to be responsible. And money is a rare and treasured resource that must be guarded and kept safe and not squandered on silly things like dreams and creative whims. After all, there's only so much of it, and when it's gone, that's it. But I think to truly understand this story, I should tell you what it was that I wanted to do. I have been dreaming of creating moving pictures for years, and I can still remember being a young high school girl who roped her friends into making horrible films that have sadly been lost to time. Truthfully, I was never what I would call good at making movies. My imagination far surpassed my skill level, and I can remember struggling through my first documentary class in college, failing twice. In fact, it was because of this class that I gave up the idea altogether. I embraced being a photographer and settled for being an extra and fell in love with crashing film sets with my friends who were working on them. Told myself I could never do it. It wasn't good enough. I lacked the gift of filmmaking. But this year is about saying yes. And so I decided I would become a filmmaker. Embrace being bad at it, and who knows? Maybe I'm not as bad as I remember. I hyped myself up, and I filmed my first short, only to be saddened by what I saw, and that's when Expectation came a knockin'. She whispered into my ears, reminding me of all the fancy gear and equipment my friends would use on their film sets, and convinced me that my equipment was to blame. I would never be able to achieve the looks I wanted with my minimal gear, and the only solution was to go out and buy the appropriate tools and invest in some real education. Then and only then could I continue my journey into filmmaking. Enter Fear, stage left. As the list of gear added up in my cart, Fear made herself unknown, and I was paralyzed. How could I justify spending this kind of money on something I'm probably not even good at? And what if it doesn't work out? I mean, it's not like I even know what I'm doing, and slowly but surely the battle began, and I was losing. I had all but given up, until a group of amazing friends reminded me to start small, to find another way. They reminded me to embrace my limitations and not worry about it being right or wrong, and that sometimes the best solution isn't the obvious one. And just like that, the tide began to turn. I decided to challenge expectation and see what I could do with my limited tools. I reminded myself that even as a photographer, I've never had the right tools for the job. I've always improvised. In fact, I've made quite a career out of it. When I was a newborn photographer, instead of investing in an expensive macro lens to get those adorable little detail shots, like those tiny toes, oh, their toes are so cute. Anyways, I would use a magnifying lens. You think I'm joking, but it works. Albeit with a slight catch. You have to hold really, really still. Because in order to get the shot in focus, you have to physically move your body into position and hold your breath as you click the shutter. You see, this week wasn't about accomplishing anything grand or even making an amazing film. It was about reminding myself that saying yes sometimes means embracing your limitations and finding ways to push forward in spite of them. I think as a human being and an artist, we sometimes put so much expectation on ourselves and the art or the project that we're trying to create that We simply fail to take that first step, create the thing. Don't get me wrong, fancy tools are nice, but if you're aside, sometimes it's more fun to use what you have. Besides, if it isn't the fear of not having a specific tool, it's the fear of buying that tool, spending the money, or the fear of not knowing how to use said tool that stops you from chasing that dream. It stops you from taking that first step. I guess what I'm saying is there will always be fear showing up and demanding a duel to the death. Okay, that might be a little dramatic, but I think you get my point. There will always be fear and an expectation that you think you have to reach in order to take that first step. And if you let it, that fear, that expectation of how it should look or how it should be done, will stop you. It'll stop you cold. So this week was about saying yes. Despite not having insert expectation here, and despite being bloody terrified, we said yes. And we're going to continue to say yes. That's it. Until next time, guys.